What about earlier in this week? There was this little story that came up. I think, the only one who really talked about it on TV. You've picked it up and noticed it, though, which is this outrageousness that's coming from the public sector, right? The public sector and the federal public service, they want a 4-day work week, but not for less money. They want a pay increase, right? They want, from memory, a 15% increase for less work. While the good people of Australia, of course, the only way they get a pay rise is to work harder and longer. Welcome to Albo's Australia.
Yeah, completely and utterly out of whack. And I mean, that's what this government is all about, right? We've got a Prime Minister who is basically about growing the public sector, which is diminishing the private sector and failing to invest further into the private sector. So, you know, while under Labor, the government has got bigger, Australians have got poorer as a result. I mean, I think it's such a devastating time for those of the public sector to be asking for, I mean, seriously, productivity is already going backwards in our country and they want it to go further backward. You know, the government services that are supposed to be available to the Australian people, well, you know, I know a lot of people who talk about a lot of delay in those services, the fact that they have to, you know, wait around for days to get anything done through these services that are available to the Australian people. But you know, again, Australians are suffering as a result of this government because every single dollar that is swallowed up by bureaucracy is a dollar that isn't creating another job in the private sector, that isn't supporting and going into an apprentice or making sure that a small business is growing and becoming prosperous, and again, creating more uncertainty.
Picture this. A public servant clocks off at lunchtime on a Thursday. 4-day week secured, 15% pay rise in the bank, while the bloke pouring concrete down the road is still grinding into the weekend just to keep his mortgage afloat. Sounds like a joke, doesn't it? Except Senator Jacinta Nampijinpa Price says this is not comedy, this is Labour's actual economic plan, and she is not laughing. Quick favour, if you are loving this breakdown, let me see you hit that subscribe button. Over 90% of viewers have not yet. Please do. It is free, takes a second, and means the world to us. Thanks. Now back to the show.
You know, the energy payments or the changes when it came to fuel taxes, right? All of that to eventually get them to where they got February last year, where they were losing in the polls, and then they got an interest rate drop, things started to fall their way, right? Well, all of that's moved away. We've now had 3 interest rate rises, two of the 3, have something to do, have nothing to do with Iran, right? But the government turns around and says, on top of all of that, right, so it's harder to pay off a home right now, they're now changing the capacity for people to be able to get that investment property because, you know, votes under 50. I don't understand. But as I just mentioned a couple of minutes ago, Claire O'Neill, right, the clueless housing minister of this country, who I'm sure is wonderful at playing Labor Party politics, is great with all of the talking points, is sassy on the socials, is great, you know, in the pantsuit in question time. I get it all right, but the reality is she's out there saying, oh no, rents aren't going to increase. Well, rents are increasing. Tonight, the numbers that I've just presented for, and again, let's just talk about Darwin, right? If you're renting a house in Darwin, a year ago, $680 was the median rent. It's now up to $760. Now, I love Darwin, but there's not a whole bunch of brand new $1 million properties which have just been dropped into Fannie Bay that have pushed that number up. It is just the cost of paying off a joint right now. As for a unit, that's 550, it's gone to 650. That's year on year. But rents weren't going to increase as a result of government policy, Jacinta.
Well, and, you know, well, again, another broken promise from this particular government, and it's the trifecta of failure that they've been able to bring about, which is fewer homes, higher rents, and less confidence. I mean, you know, housing isn't just about supply, it's about confidence, ultimately. The Prime Minister was asked whether he would guarantee that they wouldn't tank the housing market. I mean, we've got a situation now where if house prices drop, you know, below 10, 20%, then we're moving into negative equity area for first home buyers where, you know, their homes are worth less than their mortgage. They are turning the housing market upside down. And when asked as to why they haven't done anything about what they have done is ensure that rents have increased, is that their response during question time the other week when we were in question time was, well, we want people to buy homes. Not everyone is in a position to be able to do that. And with the way the market's going, you know, confidence is absolutely dipping and heading south. Our investors aren't going to be confident enough to invest. We know that it's small businesses that are those that will be building homes, and they're not confident because, you know, this government is taxing aspiration in this country. So when they're not confident, well, you've got delays in starts for builds, but you've also got small businesses who aren't investing and bringing on more tradies who aren't investing in apprentices. They are absolutely managing to destroy the joint and taking all of us with them.
Now, I've got to show you this, which was the Prime Minister with Narendra Modi, the leader of India, today. Now, obviously, it's a big event which is taking place in Melbourne tonight. Great, awesome. I'm pleased that people are able to see a visiting world leader. Great, fine and fair enough. But the Prime Minister, it looks like he's going to light another candle before he changes his position here, because remember the absolute shellacking that he would give to you or anyone else who previously has advocated for nuclear energy. Yet today, the big announcement was us giving more uranium to India for nuclear energy, which was described by the President like this.
We have signed an important agreement today on nuclear energy. This will pave the way for uranium supplies from Australia to India and give our clean energy objectives fresh momentum. Our cooperation in critical minerals is important for our strategic security and clean energy transition.
Can you believe this? Literally, if it's the opposition, it was three-eyed fish and the roof's going to cave in. But if it's helping out another country who are saying this is the way of doing it cleanly, it's a press conference.
Oh, look, this is the hypocrisy of this ridiculous Prime Minister once more, where he would rather see another country do well using our resources, the cleanest, greenest toward, even toward net zero, if that's what they're trying to achieve, which I doubt that they are, for India. But we're not even allowed to touch our uranium supplies here in the Northern Territory anymore because our Prime Minister stop that from going ahead in the top end. And we have incredible resources in terms of uranium in our own country. And we've got a Prime Minister who's not even seeking to invest in our own ability to process uranium for the purposes of clean, green energy within our own country, reliable energy, mind you, given that he made this, again, promise which has been broken toward $275 in a reduction in our energy bills, in our electricity bills. And yet, this is the hypocrisy, utter hypocrisy of this bloke, that he's going to ship it off to India for another country to be able to enjoy, so they can have clean, green energy and reduce cost of electricity in their own country. But he's allowing Bowen to continue ahead to ruin our pristine rainforests with these transmission lines, to ensure that the cost of energy for regular Australians, everyday Australians, for small businesses, for manufacturers, continues to be high. But hey, we'll help out India. We'll help out our mates over there in India. What an utter... I can't.
Broadcasting straight out of Alice Springs, our favourite grandma of federal politics did not hold back. First target, the public sector wish list. A 4-day week with a 15% pay bump, while national productivity is going backwards faster than a tradie's ute in reverse gear. Senator Price put it bluntly. Every dollar swallowed by bureaucracy is a dollar not creating a job in the private sector. Meanwhile, the tradies, the shop owners, the small business battlers she now officially represents as Shadow Minister for Small Business, they only get a pay rise by working longer and harder. Fair go seems to only apply to one side of the ledger. And just when you think the economics could not get messier, enter housing. Darwin renters are getting smashed. House rents climbing from $680 a week towards $760. Units jumping from $550 to $650. Senator Price calls it a trifecta of failure. Fewer homes built, rents skyrocketing, and builder confidence circling the drain. Remember when rents were not supposed to increase? That promise didn't just break, it evaporated. But hold on to your akubra because the energy story is where it gets properly wild. Australia happily ships uranium overseas so other countries can power up clean nuclear energy while banning that same industry at home and knocking back nuclear power as an option for our own grid. Senator Price calls it exactly what it looks like. Utter hypocrisy, dressed up in green branding while everyday Australians deal with power bills that never got the promised discount. Add rising interest rates, cost of living pressure, and first home buyers staring down the barrel of negative equity, and Senator Price's verdict lands hard. This is not sound governance, this is gaslighting with a nice smile. Whether you're Team Labor or Team Coalition, one thing is certain, the numbers are not lying, even if the talking points are trying to. Thank you for watching. Let us know your thoughts in the comments below.